All right, then time now for our main topic. We will start with a review of Bumblebee.
I thought you were talking about Aquaman.
I'll kill all of you.
Just kidding. We're talking about Bumblebee.
I didn't say shit, so...
Bumblebee is the 6th Transformers film.
Jesus.
Let's get into some initial thoughts. We'll start with you, Sparkz.
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah? Ben.
Yeah, so that first 5 minutes, can we just have that as a Transformers movie,
I agree.
please?
Ryan.
I liked it quite a bit. If this were the first Transformers movie, I'd probably like it a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. I think this is definitely, I don't think this is controversial. It's the best Transformers movie.
Oh, it is.
Easy.
I will completely agree with that.
100%.
Those opening minutes of Cybertron reminded me of the Fall of Cybertron video games.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
And that was awesome.
Yes,
I
it
want
was.
to go back and play those.
Seeing that Optimus
Yeah.
Prime was real rad.
Yeah.
Seeing
Seen
Optimus-
all of them.
Seeing Optimus just go around kicking ass
Hey,
in
and
general.
you know it was great. You see RC in this movie,
You
and you
do?
know how you know she's RC? She looks like RC.
You also see Cup, too, for a hot second.
You know why? You know that's who they are?
Yeah, because
They look like them.
Yeah, Soundwave, Shockwave,
It's almost-
Starscream,
it's
all of them.
It's almost like if you use the designs that people know, it's easier than just being like, this is
Or we can
Ironhide?
spend $200 million and make it incomprehensible.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm Michael Bay.
Yeah.
Also, you know what I don't like about this movie? I could see all the action. Why aren't we cutting it every 2 seconds like a Michael Bay movie?
You know the Michael Bay
it's a
editing.
joke, Ben. Jesus.
I know.
The Michael Bay editing has never really bothered me, especially because in 3, 4, and I think a little bit of 5, he does tighten it up a bit because he's so shooting those scenes on IMAX and it's harder to cut on IMAX. But what I didn't like is that they always look like junkyards.
Yes.
Like they look like incomprehensible junkyards fighting. And in this one, they look like robots. They look like they had personalities and they looked really good. And not only that, but these Transformers had clear personalities.
and there's not 1,000 of them. There's like 4.
They're and one of them dies in the beginning of this movie.
Yeah.
Cliff Jumper.
Blitzwing, I was gonna say.
No, Cliff Jumper.
I was
Cliff-
saying the main
yeah,
characters.
Blitzwing gets like, but also Cliff Jumper.
I love how Blitzwing dies. By the way, I thought both. Spoilers, by the way, if you guys don't know by now, it's your fault.
Yeah.
The way that Blitzwing and Justin Theroux's character, I don't.
Justin Theroux was in this movie?
He's the blue Decepticon.
Oh.
The way he dies when he transforms and the chain gets into his
That
gears,
was awesome.
That was
Yeah.
great.
That was real good.
Faulty
That's sweet.
manufacturing on their part.
Yeah, that was a lot. That was really cool.
Triple changing is just super cool in general. And you pointed out to me. I saw it, but you
Yeah,
pointed
yeah.
out like,
That one scene where they're like flying off to the satellite grid or to the tower. He's changing and he's you cut for a moment. You see he's kind of like a narrow, thin car with just the helicopter propeller on top.
Like
before
he's
he's just changing, and I
mid-transformation.
was like, "That's kind of funny looking."
Yeah.
That's cool. One of the other things I liked about this is John Cena, who's an actor I really don't have an opinion on. But when
I love him now.
when he's like, their names are Decepticons. Does that not raise any red flags?
Yeah.
That was pretty sweet. I like how
I
they-
thought that was funny.
He had a lot of good, just like straight face deliveries.
Yeah.
Like when the guy's like, "Yeah, I shoplifted this thing once." We know.
That was-
He had a lot of good moments, and then shooting his buddy at the beginning. I thought John Cena played well for the
Yeah.
role he had. I thought he played it real
So
well.
I want to talk about the stuff that doesn't work as well for me. I don't think the stuff that are clearly prequel stuff. So when this film works as an independent Transformers film, it
That's
works.
my biggest problem with the whole
It
movie.
works, but because it works as a prequel, it has to have Sector 7. It has to have Bumblebee now losing his voice.
It's the Hoover Dam. It's Fort McKinnon. It's all these things.
Ryan and I talked about this a lot because like it entirely felt like at times that the movie couldn't decide if it wanted to be connected to the later films or not.
Yes.
And I think they should have just gone with not because they're already violating the timeline established by those later films because Bumblebee was
the
in,
end of this movie ruins.
because Bumblebee was in World War II.
Well, so if you take it how like if you want to do some fancy editing, 4, 5 are erased completely by the beginning of this film.
Sure.
1 isn't erased until the end of the film. When those with the Transformers.
Sure.
Hey, buddy, that's a lot of erasing
But
for
the
a
point is that
franchise.
the movie's already violating it. Is my
Yeah.
point. So they should have just committed to doing their own thing. Sector 7 didn't bother me because I could take that as just a nod to the previous films, but not necessarily.
Simmons? Did you see Simmons was
I
in it?
did see Simmons was in it.
Where? I didn't see him.
Simmons just is like a different dude, and he comes up and it's not John Turturro.
like a
it's like a
younger
younger
guy.
guy,
Yeah.
and he comes up and he says
Oh, is
something
that
to
the
John
one who
Cena,
gives-
and it says Simmons on his name tag, and
I
it's
didn't-
supposed to be.
I didn't catch that.
I
but
didn't mind
okay.
just Sector 7 itself being present. I think is a good just nod to the previous films, but I didn't need it to be sequel setup.
Yes,
I thought that could have stayed, but then everything else I could have lost. I didn't need the establishment of making the world work for those later films, especially because you're kind of breaking it anyway. So why should I care?
What works so?
I wanted them to commit to just being something new.
What works so well about this movie is how small scale it is. Yeah. It's about Haley Steinfeld, and she's real bummed out because she lost her dad.
She's real good in this.
She is really good. Yeah. Everything involving
She's
her
excellent.
and Bumblebee, I loved. I thought the random best friend who just shows up, I thought he was pointless.
He
literally
works to have someone to bounce Haley Steinfeld off, and that's his only service in the plot. And he
has no point.
But
At
you
the
need-
end,
you
he's not
need
even
that
involved.
character. You need that character so that Haley Steinfeld's just not talking to someone.
I
who's not
agree,
talking
but I
back.
don't think he was done well.
I don't know that I do agree with that because she was doing that fine with just Bumblebee.
And all the scenes of him are outside being nervous, scared to meet her, and then he meets her. And then in the final battle, he's not even there, and he shows up later for a joke.
Because there's literally nothing she said to him like that actually mattered that she couldn't have said to Bumblebee. It would have been weird if she was just talking to a car, but he's a character, so it's fine.
Yeah.
There's nothing that she needed to actually like get out and say.
And you need a little
that
bit of
needed to be with
romance
him.
for the
No,
youngins.
I'll defend the inclusion of that character. I won't defend how they handled the character.
Yeah.
I do think that they should have handled him better. I do think you need a character like that in the movie, though.
I don't think they needed it, but I can see where it's easier to have one.
Yeah.
Sure.
If you don't want to do the legwork of writing it better.
Yeah.
But yeah, they didn't utilize him well, so he's pointless.
Yeah. But he doesn't. His presence in the film doesn't do anything for me.
It doesn't affect. That's the thing.
offend me.
It doesn't amplify anything, but it doesn't hurt anything.
It's
either.
kinda
it's
just
kind of there,
there.
and it's
Yeah.
kind of okay, whatever.
I mean, having the friend show up, I felt like he showed a little later than he should have.
He does show up towards halfway
He
through the
shows
film.
pretty late in the movie, and then I mean, yeah, it's great that he can like bounce stuff off of Haley Steinfeld's Charlie, but at the same time, during the final fight, I kind of like that he does stay behind because I was like, no, this is Charlie's show. She's gonna go and help B and kick ass and take names.
Sure, but why introduce him halfway through the movie and then
Yeah.
not have him in the final act?
Chekhov's person. Is that what you
I don't
defending?
need
just
that
don't
gun.
need him.
I don't need Chekhov's gun. Let's see. I love the whole family in this. I really like the family dynamic. Like being a young person dealing, like, not to get too real, but like, you know, someone who's lost a parent and like having to deal with that. And then you have like a mom who's like, she's trying to move on because she's got to live her own life. And like the silly stepdad who just wants to be a good stepdad. I loved all that stuff. I thought it was all great. And all the stuff with Bumblebee, it's great. The stuff with, and I've never liked it from any of the Transformers movies, the slapstick comedy of Bumblebee trying to get through a small door. That dude's an intergalactic robot who can travel through space, and he can't through a door. That always
To
bothered
be fair,
me.
I'll give him.
It's always bothered me.
I understand. I give him small benefit of the doubt in this one.
How?
Because of the memory core being damaged.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
he seems
why
a little.
I'll-
He
Okay.
seems a little more. Gotta
Fine.
learn things.
All right.
I think
So I can
Transformers
accept
1
it
is
more in
still-
this
no,
one.
thank
I think it's a little unfair to compare this film to the other films because it clearly doesn't want to be.
Sure, but then don't
the
include stuff from
The
it.
comparisons are going to have to be there, and that's why I feel like the stuff that doesn't work is the stuff that's from the first five
Yeah.
films because that's studio mandated. You have to have this. You have to have this movie, but clearly Travis Knight doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
because he was able to use the G1 designs, and Optimus at the end of the film is still in his G1 design.
So I've another a thing that I'm. So the beginning opening battle in Cybertron, is that the same battle that we saw in the Transformers movies?
Supposedly,
No.
It doesn't line up because that's 20 years later
Yeah.
or thousands of years earlier. I don't know what's happening.
it's supposed to be thousands of years ago.
But it was
Also-
1987.
Also, the designs of Cybertron changed throughout the movies.
It actually looks like
themselves.
Cybertron.
Yeah, it looks like Cybertron. It looks better.
That's my thing. I'm like, I know we really shouldn't care, but we have 10 years of movies that no one really likes, 1 and 3, whatever. But like overall, the Transformers franchise is tainted. And it's like, I really think they should have just hard cut from it.
Yeah, they needed to make a
didn't need
choice. The biggest flaw of this movie is the waffling between being connected or not.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they needed to make a decision. And they needed to make it strongly and presently.
If they
Yes.
didn't have the final end credit scene where you see the Autobots coming to Earth 20 years earlier than they're supposed to, then I'd be fine. But like, you are just destroying the movie you're setting up.
But let me tell you, when Bumblebee rolls up against towards the truck, I was like, "Oh, Optimus is on
Yeah,
Earth."
it's cool.
Yeah,
but then
it's
he turns into a Camaro.
Which and that's exciting, but it's also like then he didn't need to be a Camaro. I didn't need him to be the Camaro.
I didn't need him to
He
be the
could have
Camaro
been
either.
the Bug.
Yeah.
Like I don't
Also,
be
he's
different.
supposed to be the Bug at the beginning of that movie, right?
Be
No, he's
different.
not.
No,
He's
he's
the
the
Camaro.
Oh, sorry. That's yeah. You're
The
right.
joke is that he breaks the bug.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Be different. Just
agree.
commit.
I agree.
That was my biggest problem.
I
with
love Decepticons actually being deceptive And like the humans,
Yeah.
like what's the Powell, like friend
Friend
Powell.
Powell.
Like he's so stupid. He
I-
realizes it right before he dies.
I really like Dylan O'Brien as the voice of Bumblebee.
Me too. I think it was really good.
Yeah.
Thought he was really good.
Oh yeah.
It's a
I thought
shame
that
that
was-
that voice was gone so fast, but it was
Yeah.
real good.
Yeah, I wish that we had kept his voice for a lot longer.
Definitely.
And again, it's one of those things where we're saying this film I wish had just hard cut away from
All
the
right.
franchise.
So
I wish his voice had been able to be repaired along with the memory core later. Like Charlie had been, again, not connecting to the later films.
Yeah.
Charlie had been able to fix it because I don't mind the interaction of her learning about him without him being able to speak. I think it works and I think it's rather sweet.
Yeah.
I just needed to lose that eventually,
Yes.
that he could talk again.
yes, Ben, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, so going back to Solo, one of the biggest problems I had with that
yeah,
movie
I said that too.
was how Solo got his name.
It's a checkbox origin movie.
Yeah, it's stupid. It's effing stupid. Whereas in this one, where Charlie's like, you kind of sound like a Bumblebee. I'm gonna call you that from now on. I was like, you know what? I did not mind that
Colors match too.
Before Optimus says, "Where's B-127?" and then he shows up because like, okay, so only a few Transformers have actual names. Cliffjumper has a name. Optimus Prime has a name, but Bumblebee is just B-127. He's just a standard, possibly
I'm a robot.
Genericbot.
Genericon.
Genericon Autobot
Let's
until
spread
he
that.
until he becomes an actual soldier.
It's the
like
Casey Casual of bots.
yeah,
I'd like to imagine that, like, yeah, he was just a generic robot. Then he
Yeah.
he got elevated to the status.
Where's
B-127?
Yeah.
yeah.
So I actually have a problem with Cliffjumper's design, which is very interesting because I've been so positive on the designs of this one. If you look at him against the two Decepticons, it's clear that they're not from the same design aesthetic. And like the two Decepticons, they look clear and but Cliffjumper almost feels like they plopped the 86 Transformers movie into this movie and kind of shaded it so that it might look real and metallic, and they didn't quite go far enough. Because Optimus looks G1,
Yeah.
but he looks like part of that same design aesthetic. He looks like he belongs to that world. Cliffjumper did not.
It could just be because he's kind of just like a throwaway, like, hey, it's Cliffjumper and he's gonna die. Maybe they just like exactly what he looks like, so it's just like
Yeah,
you know,
that
what I
This
could
is
be
the
it.
second time in 10 years we've seen Cliffjumper
I'll be
die.
honest, I don't have it present in my mind enough. It didn't bother me.
yeah,
It didn't bother me either.
I don't-
you
I
are
wouldn't
you
say-
are more aware of it
Yeah.
than I am. So.
Well, and also, tiny little side note that I really enjoyed. I liked how Optimus's faceplate never moved.
Me too.
Yeah. It
was-
Thank God.
And by moved, I mean he didn't have a mouth. I mean it was just his solid.
You don't like his
faceplate the
crazy like synthesized lips?
I like Optimus with a straight faceplate. That his faceplate moves, and that's fine. That makes me happy.
Yeah.
because that's Optimus Prime.
So let's continue to talk about some of the stuff that works because I do think this film works really well.
I actually really like him crashing in on John Cena's character first.
yeah.
That encounter and that establishing the awareness and the interaction and how they go about it. I really like that because you normally expect that the first person B would encounter would probably be Charlie, and that's
Yeah.
usually
Yeah.
how that kind of. I love that it's John Cena's group right off the bat.
Yeah.
I thought that whole chase and the way that went down was really good.
Yeah.
I really like the way that played out.
Yeah, one of the things that we're talking about, like the prequel
He
stuff.
turns into a Humvee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's the prequel stuff. We're talking about the prequel stuff that doesn't quite work, but what I did appreciate is that they never say it's Section 7 until much later on into the film.
Yeah.
Right.
Because even
Yeah.
then I was like, is this Section 7?
Yeah, because they have the little S7s, but they're not saying it.
Yeah.
yeah.
I did appreciate that there wasn't
that's
like
why-
Sector 7.
That's
And
why I
some
was
of the
saying, like, as a reference to the previous films, I think it would work really well, not as prequels.
Did
And
you-
like the
did
truck
you-
that's out that John Cena drives to Charlie's house, it says Sector 7
Yeah,
on
yeah.
it.
Did you hear about the cameo that was almost in the movie? They almost had a G1 Megatron in the ice.
I was
I
wondering.
was gonna say there's no mention of Megatron, right?
Not a single one. So I was wondering.
So he'd be G1 looking, but in the ice still.
That-
that's
that would make it-
that's exactly the
That's
line
cool,
of like.
but it'd be like worse because they're
That's-
rewriting
Oh,
their
yeah.
own movie.
That's the exact line of like where it
No
doesn't
thanks.
even work. Like
Thanks, I
then
hate it.
if he's going to be in the G1 design, don't even put him there.
yeah.
yeah.
Because that's not the Megatron that was in the ice.
I'm glad it's not there because that would
Now-
have been more confusing.
Now I want to say, if they go forward with this film franchise, if they make a sequel to this one,
Oh boy.
I am totally okay with just throwing away my Transformers DVDs and just saying that this is the
I
this
am
is the
too, but
continuity.
I was talking to Sparkz. I'm scared that this is going to go the route of the X-Men, where it's going to be like a decade thing or a year's thing, where we have to lead up to 2007.
I don't know. Because I think
That's what I'm scared of.
I know
yeah.
that's what you're scared of. I think if they are going to make a sequel, I think they do it. If there is to be another, I think the whole reason why they waffled between the two is because they weren't confident it would
indecisive.
make money.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, they weren't confident it would make money,
Okay.
and so they needed it to stay as a prequel in case they were going to leave the franchise done.
I don't think Paramount is as connected to the Transformers franchise as Bryan Singer is to X-Men.
Yeah.
And if they were going to be done with it, they wanted it to be able to be a prequel to that. But if they wanted to continue it, they wanted to be able to establish something that wasn't connected to Michael Bay anymore.
Yeah.
But that's the problem is they just need to make that choice.
And Michael Bay is still a producer on this film.
He
and,
is.
and if they'd made the choice, then I feel like we could be. So if there were to be another, I feel like they're just going to be like, okay, we're doing our own thing. Like this worked,
And
and the
for-
reason it worked is
yeah.
because it's not the Michael Bay stuff. So let's just walk
And
away
for
from
us,
it.
people who like original Transformers and want this like more Bumblebee stuff, that's great.
Yeah.
But I fear like for the people who do like the regular Transformers movies, they're going to be like, oh, Bumblebee 2, I thought it was going to lead up to Transformers 1. This doesn't make any sense. Why
But I
is it
think
this
after
own
a
universe?
while, I think because the Transformers franchise is tainted enough that I think after a while audiences will just accept it.
I hope so. I'm just studio interference is what I worry about.
It really depends. I mean, like, regardless of how much money this is making right now, the word of mouth about it is so positive that
yeah.
I feel like if they were to continue in a direction that's not really connected to the Michael Bay movies, I don't think the fans of those originals are passionate enough to give a shit.
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So I think that they can just do whatever they want if they want to go forward. But if they do go forward, they will kill this very quickly if they're trying to connect to those Michael Bay films.
Yeah.
They need to
Absolutely.
just go in a new direction now.
Absolutely.
Because I can get, if you're going to go in a new direction, I can let go of the things that are clearly prequel set up here. I can let them go if you're going to just scrap all that and go forward.
Yeah.
But go forward fresh. Don't
Yeah,
don't try to set up anymore.
Don't try to like connect the like
Simmons was the worst. That
Yeah,
was
he
the thing
was.
that bothered me the most. I'm like, you are trying to say that this is a prequel, and I really don't like that.
Yes.
I don't mind Sector 7. I'm okay with the Hoover Dam. I'm
Fort
not
McKinnon.
a fan of the Camaro thing, but dang, like really, just leave those movies be.
Huh?
You already said
Remember
that.
Simmons?
You already said that they don't really matter. So
Yeah,
just
so
go there.
Don't try to Frankenstein connect the dots to this thing to make it, oh, it all makes sense. Because then once the second after you watch Bumblebee and then you pop in the first Transformers movie, 07 or whatever came out.
07.
And then it's going to have Optimus coming to Earth. And it's like, but we
here's
just
a-
saw him 5 minutes ago.
Right.
What the hell?
Here's something to what Ryan was saying. If Michael Bay comes back to the franchise, if he decides to direct another one,
No.
Can we,
then
can we petition to say no?
No, we're
mean,
not.
we
We're
could,
not.
it wouldn't work.
We're not that stupid.
Yeah.
If Michael Bay comes back to do another one, then yes, I would say they're probably going to just ignore Bumblebee and just move forward with the franchise as they were. But if he doesn't, if he never comes back to direct another one, if he just stays as an executive producer, which we all know means nothing,
Yes.
then we can see some. Then Paramount, I feel like, are more into doing movies like this because Hasbro actually has a lot more say in this franchise than
Spark Pictures.
All Spark Pictures.
Oh, yeah, that's new. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
They have a lot more say in this in the production of these films. So I think they want to see something more akin to G1 like we have been seeing. We see it a lot in the other Transformers media. I think they want to have that synergy.
What scares me is oftentimes we get really good first movies and then the directors don't come back for the sequel. That's what I'm worried about. Because Travis Knight is like he's got the relationship stuff and like the personal stuff on lockdown, and his action's great.
I don't honestly expect him to come back.
That's
I
what
don't
I'm-
expect it to come
That's
back.
what scares me because this movie's not.
But that
doing,
doesn't
like-
mean that it can't be a good director still
Sure.
who would come back and do another. And I don't think that the sequel needs to be about Bumblebee.
No,
I'll
I
put
don't
that
think
out
so
there either. I think it can be a wider Transformers film from Bumblebee's perspective.
Yeah, that's cool.
But not about Bumblebee, not a
What-
story about Bumblebee.
Watch. If they do a sequel, and this is just me spitball.
Unicron.
No.
No, real Unicron, not bullshit Unicron.
Okay. Well, yeah, but that's like down the line.
Yeah.
If they do decide to do a sequel, kind of make it like the old 80s cartoon where it's
Everybody dies.
No, where robots are actually in disguise, but it's like it's from Bumblebee's
you got
perspective.
you got 3 movies to get there. I don't want to see that in the sequel. No. You gotta have a couple movies of robots in disguise before you get like robots are here.
Yeah, I know, but it's like the Autobots and Decepticons are fighting, but there's no main human characters.
Well, you're never going to get a Transformers movie without humans.
You need to have the humans. What I like about this film is that because it does simplify how many Transformers are in this movie. You are able to not have a screaming, blithering idiot like Sam Witwicky running around while the Transformers kind of stomp around.
Only 3 main Transformers, and I mean, besides side characters like Optimus, but like there's only 3 Transformers. That's awesome.
Yeah. I was gonna comment on the how the prequel setup thing really affects this movie. The movies, you got to care about Bumblebee and everything that's happening with him, and that you're rooting for him to be able to protect the human beings and to protect the Earth and to get the Autobots there. Right? That's the thing you're rooting for. if you take this movie as a prequel to the Michael Bay films, there's this whole thing where they make a case about we need to catch Bumblebee because if he's here, then he's going to bring this war to Earth and all the humans are going to... That's what the bad guys say to the human beings to convince them.
Yes.
And guess what? If these are prequels to the Michael Bay films,
then it's true.
they're freaking right.
Bumblebee's
and you shouldn't support Bumblebee.
Bumblebee's
And
a bad guy.
that's another reason why I really don't want this to be a prequel setup. It just doesn't work
It
tonally.
also doesn't work because the reason why the Transformers come to Earth is to find the Allspark.
Yes.
Not to just kind of like we need to regroup somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, like, go ahead, Ben.
No, also because it's like, yeah, we should trust these guys. How can we have one of them frozen in our basement?
Oh, what I do like is I don't like that we're doing this to the guys like, well, they've just given us the power to kill them if we don't like what they're doing.
Yeah.
I kind of like that like turncoat that the general does.
Yeah.
So,
Creating some kind of interconnected network.
A web of information. I was like, okay, well, 1985, yeah.
Yeah.
Was it 85 or 87?
87.
It
It does
Same year as
line,
Dead the
It was
Class.
definitely the 80s. The music wouldn't let me forget.
yes.
Oh, yeah, okay. At first I was...
speaking of music, the touch plays in this movie.
Yes.
That was awesome.
That, okay,
Yeah.
That was
I
good.
loved that part. All the stuff was like, oh, right, A's jams. I like it. The rest of the movie was like, okay, can we stop?
As much as it bothered me how many 80s jams there were,
So
I
many.
will give them credit for the fact that they at least for the most part chose songs that are not commonly the like 80s go-tos that a lot of other
Yeah.
films will use when they're trying to say, hey,
Let
we're in
me
the
tell
80s.
you guys.
But
yes.
So this, in 1987, the year the Bumblebee took place, is also the year Deadly Class took place. And Deadly Class also has an entire 80s soundtrack, but it's all music you guys have never heard, so it's fantastic.
Great.
It's great. It's like real good synthy, old school, like New Order.
Hold
Oh,
on,
it's
is
okay.
the touch in it? Because then I don't care.
Brandon only comes for the bush.
Oh, you're right. Well, I mean, there's Bush, but not Stan. So,
Oh boy.
yeah.
So what episode of Frothy Crotch are we on now?
Oh,
69.
I think that is a joke that I've been cutting out of the episodes.
Oh, they don't know about
Damn.
Frothy Crotch.
So the audience does not know about this.
Damn.
Not only that, I'm pretty sure that joke was in a episode, our Christmas episode, which hasn't
Oh,
gone
it hasn't
yet.
even aired yet.
Time travel.
Well done, Ben. You just screwed up the
How does it
continuity of our podcast.
And that's how Bumblebee works.
Hey, you're right.
yeah.
Does screw up
I
the-
do. I think that the action sequences are pretty fun. They're clear
Yeah.
and concise. I love the chase sequence with the police car.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
Charlie hiding in a trash can was apparently the worst place.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Immediately
she got
shot
blown
at.
up.
Immediately shot at.
Hey, but you
Yep.
know what? She's a character who had agency and helped.
No,
Yeah.
she was.
And I liked that a
I
lot.
appreciate
Unlike
it.
Sam Witwicky, she actually did
To be
stuff.
fair, in
I
the
don't think
first
she
film,
said
Sam
no.
Witwicky does help.
I was gonna say
Oh.
Sam
He
did
does.
help.
He gives the Allspark.
Oh, the Allspark, yeah.
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 He does do that.
I'll give first movie Sam Witwicky some pass.
Okay, but what about 2 and 3?
No,
Less
he's the
pass.
reason.
No,
Yeah.
Optimus
less
Prime's
pass.
like, you guys can go die.
Actually, in 3, he kills Starscream.
Oh, he does. Kill
does.
Starscream.
He
yeah,
does.
that lessens Starscream for me now.
I actually really wish Starscream was in this movie because
Yeah.
I think you could have done a lot with that character.
Well, you do see
I
him
mean,
for a second.
You see a bunch of people.
He's with the Genericons on Cybertron.
Yeah.
I did really like the Ravager coming out. And
Yeah.
that was a great moment. Yeah, the whole old sound
That-
because he's
yeah.
got the synth tape sound. And I'm like,
That
that's
made me
pretty neat.
that
Yeah.
whole part. Every time we were on Cybertron, I know it's only like about grand
We have
total-
2 flashbacks on Cybertron,
It
and I was
just-
into both of
We
them.
see the
That made
same-
me
yeah.
so happy, especially when you hear like the digitized, synthesized sound wave where he's
Yeah.
like ravage, eject,
Yeah.
and I was like, and every time they transform, they do it. I'm like, can't we just have this?
Optimus's
like,
action when he shooting the tower class.
He's
and he
falling
jumps off the tower.
Yeah, he's
and
falling
onto
down a tower.
Genericon.
Yeah, it's
I'm
really
like,
great.
So cool.
I'm watching this like, just make this. Travis Knight, can you just make this into a
costs too
2.5
much money,
hour
man.
movie, please?
It would
much
cost
money.
a lot of money.
I
now,
know.
However,
It
I
would be Aquaman money.
I know, but it looks so pretty. It looks so beautiful. Just make Transformers War for Cybertron the movie. Just do that.
That's too hard.
I know,
Yeah,
but I want it.
And Brandon, I know you've said it before, but like,
looks so
like
good.
we've been waiting for like really good looking Transformers since 2007.
been
It's
waiting
like,
to know what they look
and
like.
their whole thing was like, oh, no one wants to see those old robots. And they want them to look new and fresh. And I'm
Bullshit,
like,
we
no,
don't.
This looks great.
When we were watching it, Ryan went, oh, at the moment where Charlie had to dive down into the water.
So she's an ex-diver.
and because of the ex-diver thing, and I'm like, I mean, yeah, but good job on the script for coming full circle
Yeah,
and having
she's
her
gotta
actually
take-
do the leap of faith
Uh-huh.
because we hadn't done it yet,
Yep.
and I'm
Yeah.
like, that's cool.
You got to do
we
the
tried,
dive.
we tried to get her to do it with the
It was
touch.
it was like, I almost want to say this movie was like an emotional schlocky B movie, but like on but well done.
Would you say a schlocky Bumblebee?
No, I
movie?
know what I was getting myself into when I said it, but that's really what
Save
it was.
the schlock for Aquaman, my friend.
Where is B127?
My name is Bumblebee.
Yeah, and he uses her audio when she says it when he says
his
it.
name is.
I thought that was real cool.
I-
and the end with Optimus and Bumblebee. Man, I like this movie a lot.
I love this
I thought
movie.
it was a lot of fun. I think we're about wrapping up.
I liked the stepdad act and
I liked
the
him a
family
lot.
being.
Yeah.
I was gonna say being helpful in the car pursuit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I did too. I thought that was
that
really good.
the family felt
Real?
appropriately part of the story.
Yeah.
They did.
and not overly forced in.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean like when Sam goes to college and then the mom eats pot brownies and has a rage out on the lawn?
Hey,
Ryan made
Professor,
this,
I
Ryan
did
made
it
this
again.
terrible
Hey.
joke to me. Ryan made this terrible
Yeah.
joke about what he wanted to happen with Charlie's character, where he wanted to find out that like she'd lost Bumblebee and she'd given him up, and then it was really hard for her to forget about everything that happened. So she did hardcore drugs and she became Sam Witwicky's mom. And
Oh my god.
And she regressed. She repressed all of the memories.
yeah.
So that's why she's
and
just
then
like
she's
going
just
crazy.
losing her mind when all this stuff is
Like,
happening
why?
again.
This is so familiar.
And I'm like, that would literally be the worst thing to happen.
I mean,
That's
it's a prequel,
how you.
baby.
That's how you do prequels badly.
Yeah.
I think we're about wrapping up. So why don't we get into some final thoughts? Sure. So Ben, final thoughts for you?
Oh, this is the best Transformers movie. I want more G1 Transformers stuff. Just give me more of that.
That's not a
please.
cartoon.
And what about a rating?
Oh, rating 9.
9. Hi, Ryan.
Yeah, I like this movie a whole lot. I think most of the Transformers movies are garbage, and like 2 of them are fine to good. This is definitely like the best one out of them. Like I would watch this over any of those other ones ever again. I'd give it like an 8.
Sparkz.
Yeah, I think that everything in the film was. We didn't talk much about the middle, but I thought the pacing of just her and Bumblebee connecting, like the scene on the beach, we didn't talk about that a lot,
Yeah.
but that was a great moment. The way that they kind of grew their bond, that really worked. Very kind of hearkening back to, kind of reminds me of Hiccup and Toothless.
Sure.
A lot of that bond. I thought that because that relationship worked so well, the whole movie worked really well, and I thought that was really great. I thought the movie was paced out really well. The action worked great. The visual effects were strong. It's definitely the best Transformers film, so I'm really happy about that. I just really wish that they just committed to saying they were something different.
Yeah.
Because they clearly wanted to be, but they were holding themselves back and trying to still keep some loose ties to the Michael Bay films, and they should have just thrown it all out the window and been like, we're whatever we want to be.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think audiences are smart enough at this point and used to enough changes where they could have just come in and not had that happen.
Right. What would you rate it?
I'm going to say 7.5.
Okay. I echo a lot of what you said. However, I do disagree. I think the pacing is a little slow towards the middle bit. I do think that the relationship between Charlie and Bumblebee is really great in the heart of this film, and it really works. I think the action sequences are a lot of fun.
I just wanted to clarify. I meant the pacing of like establishing their relationship and their bond, not necessarily the pacing of the entire film. Because
yes.
I do think once they introduce like the neighbor boy, the pacing gets a little lost and
Yes.
slow and draggy. But the pacing of their relationship growing
Yeah.
is what I thought worked so well.
Yeah, and then I echo that as well. I think the pacing it's a little slow in the middle. The action sequences are really good. I love the Transformers designs. This is a really solid, fun film. I would give it I would give this one an 8. I'd give it a solid 8, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
All right, then let's move on.